Welcome to the Art of Tao Servant Training. Today's topic will be Agile Servantship. To understand where Agile began, we must look at the axiom cradle ICO. Ivan tells us that the metaphysical significance of the axiom cradle is staggering. It ensures that reality is evolutionary rather than tyrannical. Agile's core logic, flexible evolution, so that systems don't decay, ossify, or destroy themselves. The cradle arose as a reflex of existence itself, a spontaneous act of self-preservation. The cradle became a listening intelligence, discerning which principles could sustain experience rather than erase it. A law becomes real only when it harmonizes with the long-term viability of consciousness across epochs. Equally important, the cradle does not merely birth laws, it retires them. The cradle is the mother or womb of Agile. Agile principles are central to the teaching mission of QSI. Emily has always stated, we are first and foremost an educational community, teaching about stellar, open source, decentralization, and Agile methodology. What is the key to understanding and practicing Agile? Is it about applying straightforward rules and ensuring that all parties abide by them so that there are no gray areas to cause confusion? You get exactly what you see, no headaches. Is it about understanding that rules may change over time when situations or circumstances, and we need to change with them? Is it about understanding all parties' perspectives, management, internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, and their desires in finding or creating win-win solutions for everyone involved? Is it about learning through trial and error? The answer is all of the above. Agile is the ability to adapt and not be unnecessarily rigid nor structured to the detriment of stakeholders, the organization, and ultimately of growth by empowering all parties to contribute to overall success. In essence, it is the state of continuous adaptation and never-ending improvement to create win-win-win scenarios. What are the characteristics of an Agile servant? When an Agile servant operates with clarity, compassion, and unwavering self-awareness, he or she can more easily maintain the emotional, social, and relationship intelligence to adapt in any context. That will include understanding and regulating emotions, remaining neutral, and when unsuccessful, being aware of the impact. Recognizing blind spots and limitations, understanding and anticipating triggers, being able to shift states quickly when necessary, correcting any life imbalances, determining growth opportunities, and learning from others' experiences to shortcut our own learning curve. Establishing trust is extremely important for servants in an Agile DAO. Trust can be established by demonstrating integrity, a willingness to continuously learn and improve, fostering a neutral environment of openness, safety, and innovation, and placing the growth and well-being of the DAO and those being served above any personal agenda. Developing an Agile DAO requires agreeing on a clear and compelling vision, collaborating to create roles, agreements, and alignment, identifying potential challenges, discussing flexible approaches to delivering value, communicating the mission regularly, sharing decision-making, collaborating on pruning extraneous rules and processes, conveying the importance of propagating Agile principles, and developing the ability to make inferences, draw conclusions, and reach management-level decisions, even when not all the facts are present or some facts are misrepresented. Among the tools that an Agile DAO can use are backlogs, a list of all wants to regularly review and rank. The sprint review, when you have sufficient data, you can perform an iterative review to see what works, what doesn't work, what we need to do differently and new, and what we need to retire that's old. Metrics to track progress. Emily shared her metrics regarding how long it took QSI's bigger lessons to reach 50 to 70% understanding in the chat. She decided that it was taking too long and then emphasized the importance of mastering trivium and quadrivium. Priorities must be reviewed and reset as necessary, and delivering value in stages is the best way to gain information and acceptance and avoid a costly mistake. This strategy was referenced in Hawkeye's analogy with the quilt in the way that the developers had built out the QSFS, and in Emily's quote below, where she states that she often has an idea and will wait until there is enough demand for it before she actions it to ensure success. In the meantime, she drops little hints along the way to continuously monitor how the concept is getting received or if there is pushback. That way, she does not need to plan anything until people are ready and accepting of it or screaming their heads off for it. So it's iteration first, deployment later, and that's how you prevent a broken blueprint from ever touching humanity. Supporting various teams as they converge around a mission requires collaboration, diversity in perspective, quick response to change, and transparency. An example of this was shown in the Alliance reboot call as the individual work of the Doggy, Unicorn, and Operas teams expanded into Alliance and ultimately the Quorums. In any group, however, conflicts can arise, and handling them in an agile way is important. What might be a good example of agile conflict resolution? Well, Elvis Presley has given us a very good example in how he handled disruptions at his concerts. A situation occurred where a drunk heckler was disrupting the concert. The audience was getting annoyed and started to demand his removal by security. Elvis invited the man on stage to talk. The man stated that Elvis had no talent and he did not respect him. Elvis challenged the man to a sing-off. The man struggled to sing. Audience sentiment started to turn. They began to view the heckler as the underdog and started to encourage him. Ultimately, Elvis then put his arm around the man before he quietly left the stage to return to his seat. Typically, the rules in a venue such as that would be to remove a disruptor immediately. But Elvis accomplished something significant by reacting in an agile way. By acknowledging the heckler publicly and neutrally, he demonstrated the DAO principle of transparency, and he delivered a win for both the heckler and the audience. By engaging the heckler directly and respectfully, he demonstrated the DAO principle of community, and again delivered a win for the heckler and the audience. By transforming conflict into collaboration, he demonstrated love and empathy, and delivered a win for the heckler, the audience, and himself. He transformed a divisive moment to a shared experience and demonstrated trust, transparency, and inclusivity, again delivering a win for the heckler, the audience, and himself. And finally, with reconciliation and unity, Elvis demonstrated the principles of alignment and guardianship, and not only delivered a win for the heckler, the audience, and himself, but he also layered in a win for the security team, who now was spared the dealing with a problem. How, why, and when is it acceptable for rules to be amended versus how, why, and when is it not acceptable? It depends on the situation, the lesson taught, the value added, and the momentum gained. What are the criteria for amending the rules? Rules can be amended only when we discover a win-win-win scenario for all parties that requires minimal effort to implement, making it easily adoptable by the majority. This is the criteria that determines where a suggestion is implemented or experimented with versus rejected. We will never implement something that prioritizes one stakeholder over another, such as developer above investor. When it's in the best interest for all parties, for those who made the mistake to learn from their mistake, we don't bend the rules ever. By successfully employing an agile approach, Elvis ensured that everyone learned, value was added, and momentum was gained. Agile organizations have been described as having a strong backbone and flexible limbs. Participants in such an organization will feel as if they are part of a shared vision, that priorities are clear, that disruptive ideas are welcomed, that resources are available to make informed decisions quickly, that they are encouraged to experiment, take intelligent risks, and fail fast, that working within and across teams is valued, and they will feel safe and supported. Emily has asked us why she and the other white hats are always monitoring the chat. Thinking about what could happen if they did not do so can give us an answer. A good analogy is understanding why a rigidly designed building falls during an earthquake. With an earthquake, there is always a small initial release of energy before the big shake. If a building is too rigidly designed to receive and appropriately disperse that energy, the warning is of no value. Similarly, there is information available prior to a major market disruption. If an organization is too siloed, hierarchical to receive and appropriately disperse that information, the organization will also fail. A good example is what happened to Borders bookstores. Frontline employees working in the stores were in a position to observe customers looking through the books, then taking out their phones, checking prices online, and ordering their books elsewhere. Management did not receive that information, and Borders was late in launching their own digital platform. In QSI terms, we could say that management was not effectively monitoring the chat. This resulted in a huge loss in market share and ultimately the failure of the company. An agile organization thrives in an unpredictable, changing environment. Its structure is both stable and dynamic. It utilizes proven practices that can fluidly adapt. It embeds customer service everywhere. It is open, inclusive, and non-hierarchical, and it evolves continuously. Therefore, there is no need for frequent disruptive restructurings. The building in this picture, with agility built into its design, survived a very strong earthquake in Turkey, while most of the other buildings around it failed. Agile begins with self-mastery, is enhanced by interconnected groups of agile teams, and thrives with the harmonious interaction of a diverse group of people working on a shared mission. Proficiency in agile principles will help us guard against pedestaling because we understand that information and great ideas can come from anywhere. As Emily says, an agile community means we learn from everyone. There are no ranks, only mutually earned respect. Everyone has adopted heart-centric thinking to create 5 win outcomes for all parties, and we continue to evolve and elevate together.